Hi, my name is Ricardo. I'm a front-end developer slash customer success manager at an A/B testing tool. I have been working building A/B tests like for the past 2.5 years, and of course with my background also already coming as a front-end developer from before this work that I have now. I have built quite a few websites. Therefore, seeing also, the struggles that some CRO specialists have into building A/B tests, and of course the cost that it can be to get or outsource someone to do that, I have come up with the initiative of creating some coding course, which is focused for A/B testing. But of course, in order to do that properly, we need to go from the beginning, and that's why I'm here today. I'm gonna be sharing the fundamentals of HTML. So if you like the video, please like the video, share, and leave the comments as well what you like or what you dislike, and who knows, I can get it on the next video and get to that. But yeah, let's get to the tutorial of today basically. So here you will see I'm using CodePen. CodePen is works like a visual editor where you can code things, and basically you will see that here I already have the structure of the course. I will be going over all the main tags or elements that we use in HTML, and for that I have already created the structure. But let's start already from the beginning. Let's look how does the structure of HTML looks like. Well, basically every page will have this doctype.html. Besides identifying the type of page, which in this case is a HTML, to be fair, I never saw any use for it, to be honest. Besides that, you will see that every HTML file will always have most tags will have an opening and a closing tag, and a tag is basically, as you can see here, we have the HTML, which basically holds everything like the head and the body. And within the HTML we have the lang. Here it's English, but if you are creating a website in another language, you can just change it over here. Sometimes for A/B testing, when we are testing for multiple languages, we might use that lang here so that we can identify what is the language of the page, so that we can create translations of the different texts for the respective translations or languages. And so that's one of the reasons why we use the lang here for. Of course, here you are seeing a very simplistic version of the HTML, but every website will have much more than that, as you can imagine. Here we have the head. Basically the head, if I open here, you will see that we have the meta tags, which is basically the meta information of the page. To be fair for us, that's not very significant to go over it, but it's basically where goes the meta information from the page, like the page title, as you can see over here. And often the page title is what we will see displaying over here on top of in the tab basically. If we close it here, also good to mention that over here as well, when we are dealing with an extra file, which is most part of the time the case, which we have the CSS, we can always create for example a link page, and we can refer to that page, for example, something like that. So it's just a link, and the rel here is the style sheet, and the href, which is the link that is referring to or consuming the content from, in this case, will be the styles.css. Of course we don't need that, so I would just comment this, or let's just delete even, because we don't need that. As you can see, I could use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which I have minimized here. But yeah, for today, we will be mostly focusing on the HTML. If I scroll down here, you will see that I have added some styling to some elements, just that it can be clear some of the standard behavior of some elements as well, and what can we expect for that. If we go, let me close it over here, the head, and go to the body. The body is where we basically encapsulate all the content that is displayed in the browser for the user. So everything that we see on a website is within the body, and of course we can use other files to bring some logic as well. But it's good to mention that, well, within the body we will have like elements that are called tags, and I will be going over all of them in this video. But of course we can also add some logic as well. When we would add some logic, we would add something like a script, for example, and then if I do a script closing tag for the script, you will see that I can type anything here, like let's say a console.log hello world. Well, let me just do that here. And that you will see that nothing will display here because that is within that script. So it expects to render only logic in that case. So let me delete that because we don't need that for anything. So yeah, so let's just go over basically all the elements that we have, or so-called tags. As you can see here, I already have like, let's start with that. When you see here the element with this greater exclamation mark, double dashes, and also in double dashes and a minor sign, it basically means that this code is being commented, and that's the reason why we don't see anything happening over here. And you will see that everything in this page, with exception of the body HTML and head tag, is commented out. So that's why we don't see any content down here. But if, I can delete it, for example, like that, or I will use just a shortcut that I have, which should for me works like that, and you will see automatically it will start to displaying the element over there. You can see a very subtle border here, which I did with this CSS, as I mentioned earlier, and that I just want to show you like how much space this element would be taking in this case. For that, you will see that we have the age 1 here, but you can see that we have from age 1 to age 6, and you will see that there are some differences between those, as you can see. And basically the rule of thumb here is every page should contain only one age 1, because basically this should be the main title of that page. Therefore, you don't write a book and have many titles. You will have like chapters, you will have like subtitles, but you will have like one title of the book. And the same works like for HTML. We only want to have one age 1. However, the older age 1s, as you can see, they go decreasing in size, of course, because they have their respective styles applied to them. But this is basically the hierarchy. The age 1 is the most important, but should be only used once per page. And we have the other ones that can be used like as many times as you wish, more in a hierarchical way, basically to divide the content in the page. One example that I like to show is, this is my website that I've created a couple of years ago when I was consulting. And basically here you can see that I have this is my main title, and I have here some other subtitles as well. If I inspect this page, which is by right-clicking in here and inspecting, I will look at the code. Let's not look at the mobile version instead. I want to select over here and inspect that element, and you will see that I have one age 1, which is basically the main title of that page, or the main heading of that page, and I will have here an age 2. If I continue going down here, you will see that I will have multiple other ones. For example, over here I'm using an age 5. I could have used an age 3, but in this case it doesn't matter. I have just used an age 5. So you will see that it goes on throughout the website. But the rule again should be never use more than one age 1, because also for search engine optimization purposes, websites will get penalized if they have that. Basically is not much to it besides what I have just mentioned. So this is the heading tag. Besides that, we have what I like to call one of the most used and important tags in HTML, which is the div tag, or the division tag, as you can see here. non-abbreviated. And the division tag oftentimes is used like to encapsulate elements. So, well, as you can see here, this div or this element takes like the full width of the page. Not every element is the same, and you will see later on as we go progress through the page and see everything, all the different elements. So if I want to show you like an example for the div, because I find this important to show, is, well, we basically often we use that to encapsulate like elements in a specific context. As you can see it over here, we have like this div, which is in the beginning and at the end here, and within that div element we have an h2, we have an h3, and we have a p. Basically this P stands for paragraph, and as you can see is already the next element we are going to be covering. But basically I'm using that to encapsulate the whole context there. So in this case I could be creating a card or something like that, so I just want to divide this element or separate this element from the rest of the content of the page, so that I can, in this case, for example, I can apply a specific style to it. So you will see that I have here a class, and a class, if I scroll down a little bit here, you will see that I'm putting the style to it, and that's why, for example, I could even bring my other div back here, and nothing will happen to it. It will just have like the red border as expected, but it's not taking the red background, and that's because I'm applying that style through the class, which is in this case is a container, and I can refer to it with a dot. A class I refer to a dot, and then I can apply specific style to it. So you can see here I could change this like to, let's say, pink, for example, and you will see that I'm changing and only changing that context. However, as I have done here this div with a solid red border, you'll see here that as I'm not being specific enough, I am basically applying to this one, to the hello world, but also to this element specifically as well. So let's just flex direction and column. And then you will see that now it doesn't display side by side, but it's displayed from top to bottom in the order that they basically are there. And of course, that can also be something that we can change as well with styling. Well, so basically this is the div, and well, I'm just literally covering the basics of it today, or in this video. But we are gonna be seeing like in future videos like more advanced use of all those elements. But let's just first like learn each one of them. So let me uncomment here. Let's leave it uncommented. What is a paragraph? Well, basically a paragraph, as it already like sounds what it is actually, it's just like a tag which is used like to add text to it. So basically often we will find like bigger chunks of text within paragraphs. And then we can, if we are talking about like a normal context of a document, we often will have like, let's see, well, those probably, if I would inspect here, you will see that those are multiple paragraphs, as you can see. So basically those are just like elements where we can encapsulate a bigger chunk of text, for example. That's where it's most part of the time used for. Well, if we continue, it will also we will continue to another element, and in this case I'm using the ULs, or also called like an ordered list. You will see that there is an ordered list as well, but I don't think I have it there, so let me even include it in OL and then LI shortcut 3. So I want to add like 3 divs there, as you can see there, and let me just add the same so we can see the difference between the two. So let me just delete that. Developers have something with keeping everything aligned, also because it's a convention to have everything like aligned properly. So you will see here what is the difference between an unordered and an ordered list. Well, as you will see over here, an unordered list will have like just these bullet points, while an ordered list, we will order it by the order that it's in within the OL, and you will have like it with a number like or with numbers like from 1 and so on. So in this case you can see we have 3 elements, so we have the 1, 2 and 3. So basically this is the difference for those elements. And those elements are often used, if I look back here in the website, you will see that if I go over here, we will see that those are basically is an unordered list where we have there, and basically we are just within those we are even using another tag that I will explain in a little bit. But you will see that it can be used like for many things. Like in some websites it may be a list for USPs, as we will have later on in another example in the more advanced like HTML video. So you can see that there are many ways of using it. Of course, we can remove like these ones or these numbers and the dots here with some CSS, but well, for today we will just go over it, and yeah, that's it basically about that element. So moving to the next element, we will have here the spam. The spam is also, we use it like somewhat similarly to the div, but we encapsulate like smaller chunks of text or content in it. So for example, thinking in the context of an e-commerce, for example, we could put like the pricing of a product in it. And you will see that over here we have like I'm using like 4 spams, one that I'm encapsulating the whole thing, and then we have price here outside, and we have another spam here inside with the price of it. And we could use that structure to give like some different styling here to the price in price name in comparison to the price in numbers, in this case in quantity. Yeah, so basically that's what this is the spam. Well, then we can go on to the link. Link is basically just, well, basically as it's already explains itself, it's a link which take users to some page. So you will see that again, as I showed earlier, here within our menu I have here the UL, I have the LI, but the LI in itself wouldn't send users anywhere. Therefore, within the AI, I have like a link here, which is sending that user back to the home page if they click here, or if I click on the About Us, it will go to the About Us, and so on. So basically, we always use a combination of those elements so that we can build the structure of a website, of a page, of an element, for example. And then, of course, we have buttons as well. Buttons have a similar use than a link, but oftentimes is not really used like to send users somewhere else, but used instead like to basically have some actions in the website, such as, for example, oftentimes you may find a button somewhere in the website that when you click, it will trigger a pop-up in the page, for example. So that is often what buttons are used for. But yeah, you can also use it somewhat like a link as well. Because you can, well, while in a link you have the href, which is where you put the page that you will send a user to. For example, I think if I'm not wrong, here you could create like, as you can see, I don't even use that much, so sometimes I don't even know anymore, but you can use the src here, and you will see that I have a button over here. And if I scroll down, I could possibly send the user to that page as well, but I see that it's not doing. So it doesn't really matter, because as I said, we use these most of the time like to basically just trigger some other actions in the website that doesn't necessarily need to send a user to another page. And most commonly used to send users to another page would be a link in this case. Of course, every website has a form. Form sometimes is used like not only for contact, but sometimes even an add to cart can be part of a form, which will register that add to cart in an e-commerce, and then add that product to cart and do something with that, which it adds it to cart, and the user can finalize a purchase later. So, well, form we have like for many uses. So as you can see it over here, well, the form will have an action, and the action is what is gonna execute the, in this case, like if we are talking about like a form, just a form with contact details, we would have a post request which goes to the backend, and it will do the logic like to retrieve the elements that we are registering within the form, and then send it to the specific email we want. You will see that if I go back here to my website, I have it over here. Well, I have the form there. As you can see, I have the form, and the form has an action, which is the mail.php, and that mail.php has the logic in PHP that I will get the elements and then send it to my email, basically, when somebody would contact me through here. And well, of course, within form we have different type of inputs. Most commonly, like the input is like the text. As you can see over here, we will have like the different types. We have like the text here. So oftentimes, in order so that user knows what the element is about, we'll have like, okay, we have an input. We can have inside a input, you can have a placeholder, which is, for example, name. And as you will see now, we have the element here with the name, which is the placeholder. And when I click, that's not what it sends, it's just for the user to know what this element is about. And of course, we have labels. And label is like it often displays, gives the same thing but outside of the element. So if I move this element here up here, you will see that I can add a label, let's say name, and if I scroll down, you will see that I have my element over here, and I have like the name, and then of course with some styling I could just like make it display on the name on the label on top and the input below. But yeah, you see how basically it's built. We have the type text, which allows me just to type the text here. Of course, there is a difference between this one and the next one, which is a text area, and also type text. But you see that I can have like basically an email will have that, so that the user can send a bigger chunk of content. So you will see that here you can send like, you have like much more space, and in this case you can even like increase, decrease, and so on here. So that's oftentimes what is used. If I go back here to my website, you will see that this is a text area and with 2 rows. So that is just like saying how much space we want it to have. And of course, we can always decrease it here as well. So yeah, this is a text area. We also have checkbox. Well, checkbox is quite famous. I think pretty much every website uses checkbox and radio, which is the next one. So basically the difference between the two is checkbox, you can click and unclick it, or check and uncheck it, but a radio not. A radio, once you check it, it's checked and that's it. Oftentimes you will be presented with that, for example, a questionnaire where you don't have multiple or you even have multiple choices, but you can only choose one option out of all the given options. So this is the case. So let's say if we're talking about a website where we have like users that either it's a business which don't pay like a VAT, or if it's like a person, then they do have to pay VAT. So you can always select, like you can't be both, therefore you have to either select you are a person or a business. And well, basically you only can go on with one of the options in that case. Yeah, and of course, like within, often that will be the last one within a form, and that is the input with the type submit, which is looks like a button, as you will see over here, but that is what it will submit that that input in that case. You have range, and the range is like often used like in filters for pricing and for some different purposes. And of course the date, which is just a small calendar that if you click here even will open that option that the user can select. And of course you can always change the format here, either for European format of date or American and so on. Yeah, so basically that is the most important for forms. And if we move now to image type, we have here the image tag. Differently of most the other tags, with the exception of the input, as you can see, the input tag here, it is a self-closing tag because you see it opening, but you don't have a closing. Same works like for image. Image is also self-closing tag, and therefore you don't need to have a closing like that, because it already does automatically. And as you will see it over here, you will have a SRC, which is basically where it's consuming the content from. So in this case, I have got an image from Pixabay, like from just a watch for the example here. And you have the alt text, which is basically just a description of the image. And why is that useful? You will see that if I take the P out of here and I go back here, you will see that the image is broken, and therefore this alt text will also be shown. Well, for SEO purposes, that is interesting because, well, search engines cannot read the image, even though it's getting better and better these days, but it can get the context of what the image is about based on the alt text that is used there. Yeah, so you will see like the moment I fix, the image is already back there and the alt text won't be displayed anymore because it only display when the user, when the image is broken, or when you also have a user that is visually disabled. Then this user will most often listen to the content of the page. So in this case, he or she will also listen to the content here as well of the alt. And to finalize, I have like some tags that are basically extra tags. Well, in this case, I have the main tag. The main tag is often used like, well, of course we have the body tag over here, but sometimes you will see like some websites will use the main tag like just to encapsulate everything within the body so that you don't have to style the body directly. And well, basically we'll just be we use sort of somewhat like a div, but to encapsulate the entire content of that specific page. You also have the nav. The nav tag is the tag that oftentimes you put like our navigation in there, or our menu. You will see that if I look over here again in my website, you will see that my menu bar there is encapsulated inside the nav tag. So that's basically what it's used for. And the header tag, often it's a tag that encapsulates, some websites you will find only a nav tag. Sometimes you will find a website that has the header encapsulating the nav and even multiple elements there. For example, when you have like a bar here on top that you want to show a specific message, or when you have other elements there. So it's a way that you can organize the content there. And lastly, we have the footer. Well, basically every website has a footer. And if I go back here to my website again, you will see that if I scroll to the bottom, let me just inspect that element. You will see that everything is inside the footer. So yeah, so basically there you will use that as a basically those elements sometimes are also advised like by Google as well, no? Because then the every website most likely should have one of them. You will find very few websites that don't have like a nav bar or will have a footer, but yeah, when they do have, this is often advised to use because of aesthetic of the website basically. And yeah, well, as you can see here, like every element, like for example, you see that now you can see some styling, but you will see that if I would remove here my CSS or comment it out, basically commented out, you will see that those elements, we are not seeing them displaying on the screen because they are commented out, as I mentioned earlier. And you will see that without style, everything looks a bit messier than before. And when I uncomment it and put it back, you will see that they get some styling. The elements display a little bit differently because of the style I have put there. You will see again, if I comment it out, you will see that some elements, they will take just literally the size of the element itself. So here we have the spam that does not expand the entire width of the page. We have the inputs as well that are only taking the exact space of the element that's needed. You can always, for example, this one you can always increase. And then you have on the other hand like those other elements like the div. Here is taking the full width of the page. The subtitle, those are basically the elements that are inside the div, and then therefore they will increase like the full width of the page there. So for example, if I go here, I could put a button or a link. Let's put a link. Don't need nothing there, and hello world. And then you see that we have the element that it displays here. In this case, display is slightly different than on the other one because it doesn't. Yeah, it's taking basically it's still taking only the amount of space, and we can see that by if I would go here and uncomment, and let's put like some background here just to see how much space that element is taking, and let's make it red. So you see it's still only taking the amount of space that the element needs, in this case, no more, no less than that. So yeah, basically this is the introduction to HTML, the fundamentals. Those are mainly the most important elements. And yeah, if you have any doubts, if you need any help, any support, yeah, just let me know, and yeah, more than happy to help. And thank you, and see you on the next video where I will go a little bit more over the more advanced part of HTML and how to really build a structure for a page, for example. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Bye bye.